Good evening, everyone. We'll give some people time enough to start joining as we're preparing for our Thrive Talks on tonight that we have on Monday night.
I put it on mute. What?
We'll be starting here just briefly. People are still joining in. I'm giving people enough time to join in, and we'll get started. Welcome everyone to Thrive Talks on tonight. Our topic tonight is healing the inner child, childhood trauma, and mental health. Welcome everyone that is joining in to Thrive Talks on tonight. We have a very insightful show lined up for tonight with our guests. We're going to prepare to get ready to get started. So welcome to Thrive Talks, everyone. I'm Dr. Antoine Alcorn, and tonight we have an important conversation about childhood trauma and mental health, especially how it impacts Black men. A lot of us are carrying unresolved pain from our past, and without us healing, without us resolving those issues, it shows up in our relationships as adults. It shows up in our decision making and even our health. So tonight, our guest, Mr. Caleb Gleason, he's a peer specialist. He has firsthand experience in helping men process their trauma and making them better to start their healing journey. So our guest tonight, welcome, Caleb. As always, it's always a pleasure to collaborate with you and work with you. And just for a disclaimer, I want to share that Caleb is not a client of mine. We have worked together with the Project Heal. And so, Caleb, welcome to Thrive Talk. Can you introduce yourself and share a little bit about your work?
Hello again. My name is Caleb Gleason. I work at UAMS. I am a peer specialist / community health coordinator, and what I do is work with gunshot victims and the trauma unit as well as the ED unit. We have a program. It's called Project Heal, and what I do is go talk to them in the trauma unit or ED, and if they're interested in the program, I enroll them, and they become a part of the program. And one of our big things is mental health. That's something that we don't make them, but we do encourage them to go to mental health. I follow up with them. It's a 12-month program, and just try to help them, get them connected to different resources in the community, and just get their life back on track. Things like that. I think we froze up. I don't know.
Exciting work there, Caleb. Ending childhood trauma. And can you talk to us about what exactly is childhood trauma and how does it affect Black men as they grow into adulthood?
Childhood trauma can be a variety of things. I know from mental abuse, being neglected as a child by either parents or both, going through sexual abuse, a lot of stuff people don't want to talk about. Going to bed hungry at night, not having enough food can be traumatizing for a child. The list goes on. It's a lot of different things that can cause childhood trauma. A list of things.
Right, and I'm glad you brought that out. So when we start talking about trauma, we immediately our minds will go to physical abuse, sexual abuse. But trauma could be trauma is very subjective to that person. It's whatever a person considers to be trauma. Is trauma, as I would like to say. But as you pointed out, living in poverty can be trauma. witnessing violence in the neighborhood can be traumatic. Being a victim of violence, uh, going to bed hungry can be traumatic. And so trauma is very subjective. And so I'm glad that you brought that out. And so many black men are raised with this belief that they must be tough and they must be strong. How does this mindset, Caleb, make it harder for black men to recognize and heal from their trauma?
Having that type of mindset, I know firsthand because back in my younger days, I was that type of way, and it can have you, not wanting to seek help, make you not want to open up and get along with other people. Which, as we can see in the world now, it's a lot of violence amongst black brothers because so many people have experienced so much trauma, and they don't even know it because they never got help for it, and they had this mindset that this is just me, this is who I am. But at the end of the day, a lot of people have experienced a lot of trauma, and it shapes them into that type of person, and it brings on a very uh, I would say negative attitude towards each other. And the first time somebody says something to you, you come out in rage, and then it becomes a big problem, and we see a lot of that in the black community.
Yeah, so right. And speaking of the black community, so when we talk about cultural and just generational beliefs, um, those how do those impact how black families deal with trauma?
Can you repeat that one more time, brother?
You were talking about the beliefs in the black community. So when
Right.
we just talk about those cultural issues and generational beliefs in the black community, how does that impact how we deal with trauma in the black community?
I would say from what I've seen firsthand, it makes us very closed in. It makes us very, like I say, don't want to seek help. As one the topic is tonight, mental health makes us not want to talk to people about it, and we just carry these things on, and therefore it becomes a chain reaction of a whole bunch of negative situations.
Right. And a lot of times we, as you talked about, we isolate, we become closed in, and that's because a lot of times growing up, we were told, we
Right.
heard, what happens in this house stays in this house,
Yes,
right?
yes, sir.
And
Yes,
so,
sir.
that just led us to shut down and to suppress our feelings and suppress our emotions and not even talk about our traumatic experiences. And
Right.
then, that also leads to us not seeking help for that, not
Right.
seeking therapy. Right.
And having a fear of if I tell what's going on, what will happen? Will I get taken from my parents? Will I get beaten at home? Will I get talked crazy to? So like I say, you want to just keep all that in, and being a child and going through that can really affect a child. It can really affect a child just holding all that stuff in and never letting it out, and just it's just tormenting your mind, the things that you're going through every day, and you need help, but like you said, you told don't tell nothing. You got to keep this at home, and so we carry that. And as a little child, it can be a lot.
Yeah, and so a child, growing up, we suppress those feelings and those emotions, those thoughts that's related to our traumatic experiences. We hold that in, right? But we grow up and we become adults. We get in relationships. We go to college. We get married. All of that. So how does that unresolved trauma? How does that show up in our adult lives? Whether that's like in our relationships or in our careers or just our personal growth.
It definitely has a way of coming out. I can even talk from personal experience, going through things as a child, and then, just trying to sweep it under the rug, and then, growing up and being in different environments. And because I grew up in a violent environment, seeing a lot of violence in my community, it made me violent. It made me not know how to talk to my spouse. It made me not react the way I should react as an adult because of trauma. But I was thinking this is just me. This is how I am. But once I began to work on my mental health, then I was able to go back into my childhood and see, like, man, this is the reason why I react to certain situations like this. It's because this is trauma. This is not normal because somebody say something to me to lash out at them and cuss them out and get to name calling or want to put my hands on people every time they make me mad. Or and like I said, the list just goes on. Even having that lustful spirit on it, keeping it real, being so lustful because things I experienced as a child and thinking this is okay, but it's not okay. So it can really affect your like your whole life, and you if you never get the type of mental health you need, you'll never know. It goes on. It becomes a generational curse. It can pass down to your children and their children if you never try to be the one that breaks that generational curse.
Right. And you talked about the anger
Right,
and the violence and the acting or reacting to those angry feelings, angry emotions. And a lot of times as black men, we struggle with that anger and
right,
emotion regulation, right? And
right.
so how can black men begin to trace those reactions back to their childhood experiences? Because you alluded to the fact that uh, at some point you didn't understand why you were reacting the way that you were reacting.
I would say for me is something a lot of, and I can say it boldly because even with the program I work with, a lot of it's unheard of for some black men.
Looks like we lost you there, Caleb. Your video went off. Are you still with us?
I'm my I'm sorry about that. For some reason,
Okay. Yeah. Your
I don't know why my computer did
video
that.
is.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Oh, you're fine.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay,
I can hear you, but your video is still off. Yes,
okay,
sir. I can hear you.
okay. It says it's on though. Maybe we just have to log on. It says it's on though,
Okay.
but
There you go.
okay. Yes. For me, it took mental health, seeking help, and some, seeking a higher power within yourself. What I like to call God. I'm a spiritual man, and just trying to work on yourself. As they say, when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, hurting people is not right. So you have to take a self inventory check and try to get the help you need. That's how I got to the point I am today. Mental health was a big thing for me.
So, were you able to make that connection between like uh, experiencing depression or experiencing anxiety or experiencing PTSD? Were you able to make that connection to your childhood trauma?
Yes, yes. Especially PTSD, and just being angry. Like nobody wants to be angry all the time. Just I was a very angry person, and still to this day, it's a work in progress because I grew up uh, physically getting talked crazy to, physically getting abused, uh, physically out here fighting the streets my whole life, in and out of jails, been to prison, and going through all this different stuff, and just like knowing that this is not the life for me. This is not a normal life. So going through that made me, seek help because I knew there's something that's not right. Like I say, anger. Nobody likes being angry, and that was a big thing for me. I remember me and my um, sister had a conversation one time, and she was telling me, like Caleb, I love you, but you're a very angry man, and that anger is starting to make this. When I was young, she was like, that anger is starting to make me hate you. You're so angry, and she knew she called like, I know you've been through a lot, but there's no excuse. You got to get help, and that made me really want to get help because like I said, I was a very angry man, and I see a lot of that today in my community. A lot of angry black brothers out here, and like I said, a lot of them been hurt, but they don't want to talk about their hurt, and they just carry this hard mentality and feel like that's how they got to be. And can't nobody touch me. I'm not gonna open up to nobody. I can't trust nobody. I've been crossed, so they carry that, and that leads to a lot of negative behavior because I know that firsthand. That's why I was in a lot of negative situations.
Right. And when we suppress and we hold all of that in, right?
Yes.
There's really no other alternative but the anger uh, reactions, and as black men, we easily identify with anger, irritability, frustration, because that's because we just go through life suppressing and holding everything in. And
Right,
I believe that the suppression of those feelings and those emotions is what leads sometimes to those self-destructive behaviors, or sometimes may lead to substance abuse because I'm trying to cope, right?
right,
I don't,
right,
I
right,
don't, I don't like what I'm feeling. I don't know what to do with these feelings. I don't want to know what to do with these emotions. I don't want to appear to be weak. I got to be strong. I got to have my game face on at all
right,
times, even on when I'm falling apart on the inside, right? And so we don't know what to do with that. And a lot of times we will turn to substances. We're drinking, we're getting high, right? And we like to say it's my way of relaxing, right? And so I
right.
always ask the question, well, what are you trying to relax from, right?
From right,
So
right,
we're trying to escape what we're feeling through the use of those substances.
right.
Uh,
You are 100% right. A lot of people, and I noticed this for myself. A lot of people don't like being alone. When you are alone and you're not on drugs and you're not on alcohol and you're not in front of the game or you're not bumping music, you have to deal with yourself. And a lot of people, that's what they don't want to deal with because then your mind gets to wondering and you can see things. And like I like to say, that's like you're dealing within. And that's why, like you said, people run to different substances. That you see people want to drink all day, every day. They want to get high all day, every day. It's something that, like you say, you're running from. And when you get off that stuff and you get sober minded, clear minded, you will be able to see what's really going on within you. But that stuff is just, it feels good at the time, but it's really just, it's just a cover up. It's just a cover up. It's other stuff you're really dealing with. Because I know I was one of them, and like I say, I deal with a lot of men. Even before I got in this field, I'm a licensed minister as well, and I dealt with a lot of guys that wouldn't go to the pastors in the church, but they would come to me because they could relate to me, and it told me a lot of personal things, man, and it's trauma. A lot of people have been through a lot of things, and they get high all day, they drink all day, and then they get in trouble all day because they got so much going on within themselves.
yeah. Do, so, do you think that some people, Caleb, don't even recognize that it's trauma?
Oh yeah, yeah. If you never been, what's the word I'm looking for? If you never been exposed to it, you
Right.
ain't gonna know. You ain't gonna know that's what it is. You gonna think this is normal. It's normal for me to walk past this man and mug him and look at him crazy. It's normal for me if somebody say something to me to lash out. It's normal for me if I grew up seeing my mama getting called bees and to talk to my girl like that. That's normal, but that's trauma. It's normal for me to talk crazy to my kids like they nothing because that's normal, but that's trauma. That's something wrong with that. But they don't see nothing wrong with that because they never been exposed to it.
Right. Yeah. So,
I even
so
know some people, not to cut you, some people that think that, when you say mental health and counseling, I have a friend that said that's for retarded people. That's for crazy people. I'm not crazy. I was telling him, like, you need mental health. He's like, that's for slow people, retarded. He compared that to his brother because his brother is a little mental, like disabled. Like, he was like, that's for people like him. I don't need that. But yet he is traumatized. And now he knows that and he's in therapy. But at first he thought it was just for people that's slow. And that's what a lot of people
mm,
think that therapy is. That's what mental health is, but it's not.
right, right. So, I've talked about it before. I've posted about it that society has conditioned us as black men to suppress. Uh, we've just been conditioned that way. So,
Right.
growing up, we were told, boys don't cry, man up.
Yes.
You got to be strong at all times. You got to have your game face on. Don't let anybody see any weakness in you. You can't be vulnerable, right? So society has just conditioned us to suppress and hold everything in, and it not just goes on to that, but we can talk about other things as far as as black men, our behaviors and our words and things, society, a part of society criminalizes everything that we do, right?
Right.
So sometimes if we do speak up on the job or we do express ourselves, we're labeled as the angry black man, right?
Right. Right.
Or
Right.
the aggressive black man, right? So
Right.
society has conditioned us, to suppress and to hold things in. And so we grow up, we don't know how to regulate our emotions. We don't know how to be present in the moment. Then we get in relationships. Uh, we don't know how to communicate. But society has conditioned us that way. And so I think it's important, with what you're saying that we have to recognize. Sometimes we don't even know we're in dysfunction
Right.
because it has become our norm, and
Right.
that's what we've seen, and that's what we know.
Right.
And so we get
And
in
yes,
these relationships, and it's a
yes,
lot of
yes, yes.
issues.
I know you said communication. That's a big part of it. Not knowing how to communicate. Because you never you didn't see it growing up. You try to say something, you get cut off, you talk crazy too. So you don't even know how to communicate, and that's a big thing amongst brothers. I know it's a lot of killing going on, a lot of things going on, but people situations that can be resolved. But no, you did this to me. I have to fight you. I kill you. I have to be harder than you instead of just communicate. Like a lot of things could be solved with just communication, but a lot of our people don't want to communicate because it makes you look weak if you let something go, and that's not what it is at all.
Right. Yeah, and you mentioned with all the killings, with turn on the news any day in Central Arkansas, you're gonna see someone has been unalive. So we see it, right? But us witnessing that can also be traumatic. Just seeing
Yes,
that and
yes.
seeing these things happening in our communities. Uh, what are your thoughts? What do you think it's going to take for us to kind of start curbing this violence and what's going on as Black men in our communities?
It takes if I is a quote I heard say, if you want to see be the change that you want to see in the world. So it takes even this video here, us putting out this information, and this other men putting out information, taking information and applying it to your life. Each one teach one. That's saying like that. It takes people. We have to do it for our community. It's gonna take other Black men stepping up and doing what they need to do in their communities to stop this nonsense. It's gonna take other Black men because if you're not from my community and you're trying to tell me something, you don't look like me, a lot of Black men don't want to hear that. But when another brother come through them and they have some experience in what they're going through, they can relate to that. So I just think it takes Black men rising up, standing up, and doing what they need to do as Black men to help these brothers.
Yeah. So for those of you that are tuning in, my guest tonight is Mr. Caleb Glayson. He's a peer specialist. Does work with victims of violence, and I have had the honor of working alongside with him, collaborating with him with that project. And so tonight we're just talking about healing the inner child, talking about childhood trauma and mental health, and what we can do as Black men to start changing the direction of things going. Caleb, uh, I've been thinking, as a mental health therapist, and I have Black males to come in for therapy, but I have been thinking, beyond the confines of therapy, what is it that I can do? What more can I do uh, in our communities? Because we've lost that sense of community,
Right, right,
uh, where we're not looking out for each other. We're not helping each other.
right, right,
We're fighting against one another. We're
right.
always at each other. So we have to start having these conversations,
Yes,
and not. But it has to go beyond the conversation, though. Right?
yes,
Uh,
yes. I definitely a
we
big
have to
thing, and
start
I know I haven't
implementing
been
and
like I
putting
used
things in
to.
place.
Yes, a big thing. I know I haven't done it in a while like I used to, but it's getting back hot now. But so I know that I can. But going to the communities, having events, doing different things in the community, having food, coming out there and just um, talking to people in the community about what we're talking about now, opening people up about different things, getting their attention, um, would help a lot. Through social media helps a lot. But really getting involved, being hands on in the community would help. A lot of people are afraid to go out to these communities to uh, reach people, but that's what it takes sometimes to go out into the community and being involved.
Right. Yeah. That's one of the with my I Thrive initiative, and that's what we're going to be doing is we're taking I Thrive into communities around the state, and we're going to start having these conversations and having community forums to
Right.
come up with ways that we can reach out and help our brothers. We can reach out and help each other. You know, earlier, Caleb, we talked about we grew up hearing things like what happens in this house stays in this house. Right? How do you think we move past that mindset so that we can really start healing for real?
We have to become open. We have to become more open, and I know it's hard, but trusting and knowing that it's for the greater good. It's to better us. You have to become open minded about different things. You can't have that closed mindset, and you have to know that we was taught that, but that's not right because um, that can affect your whole life and mess up your whole life. It's a lot. The prison are full of black men that's trauma and they needed help, but because they never got help, they made a wrong decision, and and now the rest of their lives are gone. Our time out their life is gone because they made a wrong decision. And it's not that they're bad people; they just made bad choices. I've been to prison. There's some good men in prison. There's some good women in prison, but because of that trauma, it made them make some decisions that led them to be incarcerated because they kept what happened at home. They let it stay at home and they let it stay within them, and then they went out and reacted, and it caused them to be in situations. So you have to become open minded, and you have to get your mental right. Just as if you go to the doctor annually to get checkups, you need to get your mind checked up. That's you have to go get your mind checked up because we're not always thinking right. We're not always thinking right. Like stuff we go through affect our whole life. But if you don't become open minded to getting that help, you'll never know it, and you'll just settle for this is who I am, and I'm never gonna change. This is me. So many people say this is me. I can't change. This is how I was born, but it's really not. If you go get some help, you can start getting coping skills and new ways to react to different things. But if you never get that help, you'll never know.
Yes. So you talked about uh, not trusting, right? What do you think are some other reasons, or why is it difficult, or what are some barriers to black men seeking therapy?
Say that part again.
What do you think? So you talked about black men that we don't trust easily. What do you think are some other barriers to black men seeking therapy, getting that help?
I'm not want to tell, like I say, not want to tell people their business. Feeling like it's a waste of time to go pour out to somebody that don't know me and tell them all my business. Just having that trust issue, what they gonna think of me, even though it's confidentiality. Still, just having that mindset, like man, if they tell somebody, just not even wanting to talk about it, not want to deal with it, just want to put it behind you, but you think it's behind you, but it's really not. But just want to just not deal with it, like when I first took therapy, it was stuff that I forgot about. But once I got to talking and had that time to be able to let stuff out, then I got to realize the stuff. And man, it broke me down. Like, man, I've been through a lot of things, but a lot of people just don't want to talk about it and they just want to go on. And that's not always the healthiest thing.
Right. So for those of you that are tuned in, if you have any questions, please drop your questions in the comment section, or if you have any comments or any thoughts about what Caleb and I are talking about, healing the inner child, childhood trauma, and mental health. So Caleb, when getting black men to come to therapy, but I will say this: over the last few years, I have seen a turnaround where black men are actually going to therapy. Black men
Yes,
are actually calling. I've seen a tremendous increase in the volume of calls that we get from black men at Thrive, and
right.
so I'm happy to see that. Um, but just taking that initial step, sometimes I've had black men say I'm only here because she wants me here, referring to their significant other, referring to their girlfriend, referring to their wife. uh, and so you talked about you disclosed that you have been in therapy. But what was that like for you? Just that initial feeling at first when you even started thinking about going to therapy. What was that like for you?
Um, I I was at a very broken point in my life. I was just tired and I wanted help. I have to say this. I'm a firm believer in God, and I've been to church, but it still seemed like that couldn't get me right. It still wasn't like going to church just wasn't enough. Like it's still, yeah, I feel good on Sunday, but when I get back, I still got to deal with me. I still got to deal with all this stuff, and I was just you know at a broken point, and I just knew I needed some help, and I went and seeked it, and my life has been a lot better.
So what? Well, since you brought it up, we'll kind of go there and talk about it. So, what do you say to those people that will just say, just pray about it? All you got to do is just pray about it.
No, it's more than that. I'm a firm believer. I'm a witness. You can't some things it's good to pray, but pray as if everything depends on God, but act as if everything depends on you. You can pray, but you got to do something about it. Faith without works is dead. If I go to God right now and say, God, take this anger away from me, help me with this anger, I need to be taking my butt to some type of anger management and counseling too. There's help
Yeah,
out there. It's help
right.
out there to help you with that type of anger. But if I'm just praying for God to take it away, but still just doing it and I'm getting angry, it's something wrong with it. So it's certain things though you pray about everything, like I say, but you have to go do the work yourself.
Yeah, that's good. And, that sometimes we don't talk about it for whatever reason, but it it's really painful for me, or it's really difficult for me to see individuals. Uh, we go to church and Sunday after Sunday, Wednesday after Wednesday, whatever night we may have Bible study. Uh, but sometimes we're still in the same place mentally.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
And it's a lot of leaders. Like I say, I have to speak on it, some people, and not even leaders, I'm gonna say people. I'm just gonna say church people, period. It they go to church, but they have never dealt with their mental. They you can be traumatized and hide behind religion. And it looks good on Sunday, but when you go
wait, wait,
home,
wait, wait a minute, Caleb. Say that again. You can be traumatized, and what do you mean by that? Traumatized and hide behind religion.
you can be in a place where, yeah, you go to church on Sunday, you go to church on Wednesday, you go to Monday night prayer, but then it looks all good to those people. But when you get back home, you calling your kids bees and mother uppers, you're cussing people out in traffic, you're still going to the store and take something, you're still sleep around, you're trauma. That's not normal. But you're making it look good when you in this setting, but when you get out that setting, the real you come out because you're traumatized and your mental not right. You just going and you're going with emotion, you're going with the tradition, and you're still though mentally messed up. And I can speak on it because it was me. You can go to church all the time and still have your mental messed up. And it's not until I got my mental right that I was able to put the two together and be like, okay, I got this now. But it took a long time because I was so into the church life. But then when I get out of church, I could still be acting a fool because I still had a lot going on with me mentally. And I have seen it with so many other people too. Like, dang, even with family members, like, man, when I was young, you got me in church every Sunday, but then you cussing me, slapping me upside my head when we get up out of church. But in here, everything good. And it's a lot of people do that. And not saying
Wow.
that they fake, are they false Christians, are they none of that. It's just they got some trauma going on with them, but they don't even know it yet because they think that that's just enough. I had passing them tell me, can't no therapists do it, can't no counselors do it. You need Jesus, you need Jesus, and yes, Lord, we all do, but you need mental health as well. Mental health is real; it's nothing fake. That's why people kill themselves. That's why people go in deep depressions. They mental health is real. And it took me firsthand to realize that because I was one of them too that I ain't going to no counselor, I ain't talking to no therapist. No, I ain't telling them my business. That's for weak folks. I was like that too. But people need that. You need that. If you wanna, if you know you've been through some stuff, if you know you can sit back and look at your life and you know it, you've been through some things. But I would say anybody needs to everybody should try it, but especially those who know, man, you know what you're doing that right. You know how your thinking is. You see how the way you're reacting. You see how your life is. I think it is best to get some mental health. Get some help. Seek some help.
So, in terms of black fathers and uncles and mentors,
Yes. Yes.
how can they recognize trauma in their sons or young men that they mentor, and what can they do to support them? Do you think we as black men recognize trauma in our sons, our nephews, and
Oh yeah. If you are woke to that, if you have worked on it yourself, but if you haven't worked on it yourself, you won't notice it. You'll think they okay. You'll laugh at it. You'll think it's cool. You'll think like, hey man, you thugging, you good, you little homie, you'll think all that stuff cool because you traumatize yourself, so you can't help them. But once you reach a certain level in light with your mental, then you'll be able to see. It's off your eyes. You can see all the trauma in people. You can see it. And it's not good, but you'll be able to see it. Like, he's traumatized. That's why he's like that, even with the men I'm working with. You know, like he was saying, some of them wouldn't dare went to therapy. They said, I'm only going because of you. Because you got me going. I'm going to try it out. And then, man, I'm glad I went to therapy. And some of them don't like it. I mean, for whatever reason. But a lot of them have liked it. And they went and they got something from it and they was able to see stuff different. But before they thought, man, this is just regular. But yeah, going back exactly to your question, yes, if you have worked on yourself, you'll be able to see that. But if you haven't, you'll think that's just normal and that's cool, and you applaud that behavior and think that's okay, and it's not.
right,
It's not.
right,
It's a lot of men
right,
that I know personally that got sons and they let their sons cuss. They let their sons sag. They let their sons smoke weed and they're not even of age to be smoking. They let them skip school. They tell them, hey, the females, man, get you a girl, young age, and then let them sleep around, know they having sex. That's not right. But that's how they was raised. So it's going down generation to generation down the line.
yeah. One of the things that I see,
Yes, you're right.
and and as a father of all boys, myself, the older I get, the more uh, self-aware I become, and just even looking at like my thought process, like my behaviors, the way that I've handled things, and looking at how that may have had a positive or negative impact on my sons, right? And even I've even said to my sons, hey, if I haven't been what you need me to be, I remember putting that in the group text because me and my sons are in a group text, and I can remember saying something along those lines. They were responding like, "Dude, what's wrong with you? What are you what are you talking about?" Right? But if we are not don't have that self awareness, it's going to be difficult for us to recognize any trauma or anything within our sons, nephews, and so
Right.
it's going to be difficult for us to change that. But I will tell you that uh, in talking to young black boys uh, and helping them to process things in therapy, a lot of times, Caleb, uh, some of that stuff goes directly, if there's a direct link to their relationship with their own dad.
Yes, yes, and I can. Me and my dad have built a relationship now. But when I was a child, I didn't have a dad. Uh, my stepdad abused me, brothers abused me. So the male role model that I had, They wasn't good role models, and that had a big effect on my life. That made me go to the streets. That made me seek brotherhood. That made me trust a lot of guys I shouldn't have trusted, and it led me into a whole bunch of negative behavior because I didn't have that male role model in my life, and it caused me a lot of trouble not having it. That made me get in a lot of trouble. And then my mom was mental, but she was sick and had seizures and things like that. So not having we talked about earlier, abandonment, just being able to just run free, and it's a lot of people like that. Not having a male role model or a female role model in their life, and it makes them, like I say, go to the streets, and they go to other peers, and those peers influence them, and it's trauma. They don't even realize.
So as you got older, as you matured, did you ever have those moments where you kind of look back, done some self reflection, looking back over childhood, and then I wish somebody would have, even when I didn't want it, I wish someone would have gave me that structure.
Oh yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Um, all the time, I have looked like man, and that's what I even with some of the guys I deal with now, like I wish I would have had somebody come in my life and try to help me like this. Because if some of you had just joined, like I work with gunshot victims in the trauma unit, and how I even got in that field, I was 19 years old and I was shot, and I was in the hospital, and I had no one come to me and tell me I need therapy to help me, to guide me and lead me in directions like this program try to guide and lead them. I had no help. So therefore, once I'm released from the hospital, I'm right back in the hood. I'm right back in the community, and I'm back involved in the same stuff because I didn't know where to go. I had nobody to talk to. Like I said, so I didn't. My father went in my life. My mama was sick. I had nobody. Brothers in prison. So I had to go right back to that same environment and deal in that same trauma. So yes,
Yeah.
I wish I did have somebody to talk to me because, like I said, I didn't even know it's as open as I am now to mental health. I had no clue back then when I was young. I thought it too was for people that was slow, like people that needed
Right,
help. I
right,
did too. Like I didn't think it was for people that's trauma. Trauma is trauma, but I didn't think that. I didn't know that. I
yeah,
was unaware of it, like a lot of people are.
right, yeah. Even when young people are being rebellious or whatever, what I found out in working with young people in therapy is, although they're rebellious, they actually want structure.
Right, right,
Mm,
right. They
yeah,
just don't have it.
right, yeah,
They just don't have it. And it all starts at home. It all starts at home, and then there's some kids, like you say, that are rebellious. But I know a lot from what I have seen. A lot of things do start from home.
yeah,
Structure is very important,
yeah,
and even me, like I said, I'm very open. Being incarcerated for 2 years and 6 months of my life, as it's called the Arkansas Department of Correction. Although everything in there, they don't treat people like they should treat people, but it's supposed to correct you. Therefore, when you get out, you have a new type of mentality, a new type of behavior. You need structure in your life. You need a certain time to be in the house, a certain time to cut off the TV, a certain time where you have your prayer, your meditation, certain time you eat. Like people need structure, but so many people don't have it, and for it, they run wild, and they out here doing any and everything because they don't have structure. Structure is very important. Discipline is very important. Having that mentality, can't nobody tell me nothing, boom, 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 that's not good because somebody can tell you something. Not wanting help is not good because we all need help. We all need somebody. Can't nobody make it in this world completely alone. We need help. We need somebody we can talk to, and that's why therapy is a good thing because it's stuff we go through every day that sometimes we might need to vent to somebody, and we can't trust nobody. Go talk to your therapist. They might can help you. Mine
yeah,
did.
right. Yeah. So for the black man, though, therapy is often seen as weak.
Right.
Uh, it's seen as a weak option for black men.
Right.
And so, how do we start normalizing that therapy is a tool for strength and healing? How do we start normalizing that? Hey, it's okay, man, to not be okay. Whatever you're feeling, it's okay. How do we start to normalize that so for black men to start really engaging in therapy?
Putting it out there, like as we doing now, and like you were saying with these events that y'all plan on doing with Thrive, just putting it out there and letting them know that it is normal and there's nothing wrong with it, and that we've been lied to, and it doesn't make you weak because you want to become a better man. That doesn't make you weak, but that makes you strong. That makes you a leader. That makes you when you want you doing is not just for you, for your children and their children. It doesn't make you weak. Like letting them know that that's been a lie because it doesn't make you weak to want to better yourself. That's
Yeah,
crazy, but that's what we think. As we talk, men don't cry. Hey, if we couldn't cry, how can we cry? That's why
right,
we got tears. That's why we got these two little dots and the tears come out. We can't cry. We do have emotions. We do go through things. It's our men get sad too. We hurt too. It's okay. That doesn't make you weak. That's a lie. It even say, hey, Jesus wept. Come on, now Martin Luther King, a strong man. Maybe all of them had tears. People cry. That doesn't make you weak. And people have to get over that. We are human. At any day, we are all human beings, and we all have feelings. So we just have to put that out there. Men have to start doing it themselves, and then telling other men and letting them know like nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with getting help. I mean, when I first met you and you came in there and I was like, ooh, a black man. Because I just, I was like a black man teaching these classes. I'm glad, which I love my Caucasian people. But as I said, people want to see people like them. Because that's the first those guys say, is it going to be a black dude? When they were saying school, is it going to be, I don't want to talk to no white dude. That was just their mentality. And I mean, even though that's not the right mentality to always have, but I understand why they saying it because they feel like he ain't gonna even understand me. He ain't from my background. He don't know me. He ain't my culture. So to know that it was another black man and here to help these young men, I was very happy about that. Like to see somebody look like a man and he's a therapist. And okay, let me see what he's about. Let me talk to him.
yeah, right,
Because
yeah.
the first thing I have heard so many of them say, even I mean one time in this guy and his girlfriend was like, man, therapy. He don't need to talk to no white man. And I said, I said it ain't no white man. It's a black
Right,
man.
right,
Oh, okay, but that's just how
yeah,
our people is. And I mean,
right,
hey, whatever it takes.
right, yeah, yeah. And we get that a lot here at Thrive is black males will come in and say, I wanted somebody that look looks like me.
Right,
I've had some black males to say, hey, I've been in therapy, didn't work, it didn't feel good for me, and that they'll talk, and one I can recall some years ago, a guy was talking to me about his experiences, and he felt like that the person that was working with him was criminalizing everything that he said, his
right,
thoughts, his feelings, uh, and I get it, I understand, but we tend to receive the most aggressive diagnoses, and it's just the truth, and that's not to say that other races or other people can't work uh, uh, with black men, but I think when when you don't seek to understand other cultures, sometimes
right,
it's just difficult
right.
for you to even uh,
Mm-hmm.
identify with that. I, I can recall years ago, a young person at school, grades started falling. They started to isolate, and they just kept giving this person write ups, sending them out of the class, and then when one of the administrators contacted me and asked me to talk to the student, Caleb, nobody ever asked no one ever asked the student what was really going on.
Right.
They never asked, why have your grades dropped? Why are you isolated? Why are you sleep? No one ever asked that.
Right.
Uh,
It is so funny you brought that up because I can remember being a little child. I never forget sixth grade. And I end up because, as I was saying earlier, my mom had a lot of health issues going on. They ended up taking me and my sister into the system, and I had to go to school that next day, and I was hurt. They took me from my mom, a 14-year-old little boy that been with his mom, hurt. And I remember writing in a journal how I felt. And this little girl got my journal, and she got to reading it, and I went crazy because I was so hurt, and nobody never asked. They just put me out of school. They didn't care. Like, why did you act like that? They didn't care. They just, why was you kicking and yelling, throwing stuff around? Because I was just so torn that they took me from my mama. And then that behavior went on, and I was just so broken. But no one ever came to me and said, get this young man some mental help. Get him. They just all every time I do some lock me up, lock me up, lock me up, lock me up, lock me up. Go this even my DHS worker never sat with me and talked with me and tried to help me. It was always I just get him locked up. It was very messed up because I was only hurt. I was took it from my mom. I already didn't have no daddy. So now you taking me from my mom, and then I knew she was just sick. She wasn't on drugs or nothing. She just sick, and then y'all just take me, and it led me into just a beast because I had no help, nobody to help me. I just felt like the world was against me. But if I would have had someone talk to me, a therapist or a big brother that was there to pour into me, who knows how I would have turned out. But thank God I'm here today.
right, right,
but
right. Yeah,
but yes, it was a lot. It was a lot, and I see that a lot. Like kids go through different stuff, and nobody asks them why. They just see their behavior, but it's something behind it.
right, right. And I'm sure maybe you were labeled as oppositional. He's opposite has oppositional defiant disorder.
Right,
He has a conduct disorder, but no one really explored those underlying emotions and feelings that you were dealing with, and
right.
that's what you were reacting to.
Yes,
Is
yes.
is that hurt? Uh,
Every kid wants a mama or daddy. So to be at school and see mamas and daddies picking them up, kids having eating lunch with their mama and dad, like that's traumatized. And not having it. And being in a system. Being in foster care, you can't do nothing about it. Being in a system, you can't do nothing about it but just be there. You have no say so over your life. That's trauma itself. But they don't talk
right,
about that. To be took, especially for, like I say, my mama wasn't a bad mama. She just had her issues. And just taking me was not the answer. But and that was trauma for me.
right, right. So, Mr. Caleb, for other black men that may be tuned in and that's listening to our conversation, and they may be sitting there saying, I can identify with some of those thoughts. I can identify with some of those experiences. Uh, we deal with a lot as black men, trying to
Yes.
provide, uh, trying to make sure that our families are financially secure, making sure that our children have what they need, making sure that our significant others are okay, dealing with that, and then we, leaving the home, going to work, and sometimes on these jobs with all these microaggressions and things toward black men, and then in society, uh, when we talk about interactions with law enforcement, uh, the legal system, just all of these things, systematic issues and oppressions and things that uh, sometimes it's a barrier for black men. Uh, just feeling that pressure from day to day, I, it's a struggle, right?
Yes.
Uh, even uh, I'm pretty sure you have experiences. I have experienced even as a professional, right? Uh,
Yes.
I've had black men say to me, Mr. A, I've done what society suggested that I do. I've gotten an education. I've tried to stay out of the system, but I'm still not treated
Right.
accordingly. Uh,
Right.
so it,
Generations. It's been generations. We've been, hey, it's real generation trauma because it does. It's trauma to know Like even to this day, and I'm a law abiding citizen. And when the police still get behind me and I'm 1052, I still be like, oh, let me make sure I ain't, because it just don't even want to go through it. The rudeness, the talking crazy, even to get put over for a headlock, just anything just to be, because what I have been through with them, what I have seen my people go through with them. Uh, Going to a job interview and seeing two Caucasian people, like, Lord, it's gonna be like, just because what I've been through, what I have experienced because of my race, because of the color of my skin. So I understand it. The
Right.
stuff
Yeah.
our history is our history is real. So that alone traumatizes people. Even those, like I said, is not even in trouble. Just to know, like, man, how this gonna react, how they gonna react to me, how they gonna, because of the color of my skin. So I definitely know how they feel, especially the ones who, on probation and things like that. I can relate to that too. Like, so it's, yeah,
Right.
it's trauma.
Yeah. So for that black male that's sitting there, thinking about those types of things and what they just deal with from day to day, and not feeling like they have an outlet, or not feeling like that no one understands, just this pressure that I deal with daily. What would you say to that black male? What are some everyday practical steps and or things that they can do to start the healing process for them?
I would say, first and foremost, is possible, if possible, get to yourself. Begin to work on yourself. I meditate and I pray. Work on your inner self. Cut out the radio. Cut out the loud noise. Get to yourself, and begin to think. Begin to journal. That's important. Journaling your thoughts or how you may feel from day to day. Important, as we've been talking about. Seek a therapist. Try to get in therapy. That's a big thing. Big thing. Try to find therapy. There's black therapists out here. If you don't care what colors, all type of therapists out here. But try to get you a therapist, and talk to that therapist. And you can go weekly, you can go monthly, you can go every bi-week, however you want to do. But I would definitely seek help. And like I say, begin also. You have to leave the therapist. That's probably gonna last an hour your session, but work on yourself, and that's where it all starts within you. Don't worry about everything outside of you right now, but you have to work on you so that you can be a better parent for your kids, so you can be a husband for your wife, so you can be a friend to your friend, a cousin to your cousin. You have to work on you. You have to take time for you. And that's where, in the past I went wrong. I was always trying to be there for everybody else, but never really worked on Caleb. And and I couldn't be all I could be for them because I couldn't be all I could be for myself. So you have to work on yourself, and it ain't about being perfect. As we know the saying, a righteous man falls several times, but he rises again. You might slip up, you might fall, but keep on working on you. That's the best advice I could get, and work on you and never give up. And don't feel like that you have never done nothing, that you can't be forgiven or that you can't forgive yourself, because I've done it all. But look what God has placed me today, to be an example for other brothers. And some people counted me out. And some people still bring on my past and try to talk about things I did way back when. And don't let people do that. Just keep on keeping on.
Yeah. So you talked about, being a better husband, a better father, a better uncle, a better friend, right? So how, and with everything that's going on in the world, just this political climate, that the things that's going on in our neighborhood, how important is brotherhood and community in the healing process for black men?
It's very important. We need each other to heal our community. We need to come together as brothers. We have to start realizing that we are brothers. Look at us. We are one. We are all God's creation, and we have to really get to that point, and then we begin to able to love on each other. But the problem is, a lot of people don't even love who they are, so they can't love each other. But once you begin to work on you and build yourself, then you'll be able to love yourself, and you'll be able to go pour that same love out into other people and love on other people, because you have
Right.
to love, like you say, love cover it all. When you begin to love people, you'll get to treat people as they want to be treated, and you'll get being to treat people right. So it's a very important thing. Like, we have to come together. That's the only way we are going to help each other. We have to come together as brothers and realize that we are brothers and help our other brothers out. Are we gonna continue to fall by the wayside? Young men gonna continue to go to jail. They're gonna continue to get shot. They're gonna continue to die if we do not come together as brothers and help each other. That's just the facts to it. We see it every day. 12-year-old, 13-year-old. Come on now, babies still. I got an 18-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son, and I see people of their age die every day over nonsense. Man, we have to come together as a family. We are one body. We have to. That's the only way that we are gonna be able to help each other. Like, but it all goes back to getting the help we need so we can be in a place to help someone.
Yeah, and black men, we need safe places
Right,
where we can come in and relax and don't have to pretend and just really be ourselves and talk about these things. And as black men, we need safe places, and so that's what we try to do here at Thrive, is create safe places for black men to be able to come in and process and get the help that they need. But we and that's one of the things that I love about the work that you do with Project Heal, is that those guys have a safe place to come
right,
and to be able to talk. Man, just watching them or listening to them sometimes talking and sharing, uh, but that's because they feel safe and they feel like that they can be vulnerable and not be judged
right.
uh, based on what they're feeling and what they're thinking. And so we definitely need to create safe places for black men.
Right. You're 100% right. And I definitely that's what a lot of them say. I can relate to them. I don't put myself on a pedestal. I never have. I let them know, like, I'm just like you. I've been in the same predicament I in. I've been in a hospital bed before too. I've been locked up before too. And when I look at life like that, I used to regret the things I went through, but now I don't. Because if I never went through the things that I went through, I couldn't help the people that I helped. They I could, as I say, you can't relate. You can't relate. Like I hear them say that to a lot of people, but I can relate. And I also can let you know that you can get better. You don't have to stay like this. Although you can get better. I can show you what I went through, but I didn't let that stop me. Although I went through hell, I didn't let that stop me. And y'all can do it too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, man. Some years ago, I can remember working with a teenager, and and I can remember him sitting there in the office with me, and he's talking to me and crying, and he said to me, he said, Mr. A, you just don't understand, Mr. A, you don't get it. And Caleb, I'm sitting over there thinking, man, if you just knew,
Right.
if you just knew. Uh, and so we've all had experiences, and so it's important, I think, that we utilize those experiences to help other people. Right?
Yes.
So for those Caleb that are tuned in, that men that want to start the healing journey, uh, what is the very first step that they should take today?
I would say find a therapist. Just do it. I would say find a therapist. If you need to get in contact with me, I'll be getting my information for this out so I can get you connected to one. All I have to do is inbox me on Facebook, and I will
Right.
reach out and get you the information that I have because I know some resources in the community. And also that, but like I said, that's what I would say. That's what I would say. The first step is get into therapy, get your mental together, and that work. That's in all type of ways. You can work on yourself. You have to work on yourself.
Yeah. So maybe how does one even go about finding a therapist?
Talk to you. No.
Yeah.
Here go one right here. Now, this here was
Right.
right here. Good man, good man. But yes,
Yeah.
it's all out here. You probably Little Rock Therapist. You can Google it. I know it's that
Yeah.
Google got everything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this guy here, and like I say, you contact me. It's a lot of other therapists, but I'm sure you can Google Little Rock Therapist around Little Rock Therapist around
Yeah.
Little Rock, Arkansas, and I'm sure
Yeah.
it's right there. Just like you can Google anything else, they out here.
Right. Yeah. So there are different resources out there. Psychology Today. You can
Right,
put in your zip code, and it'll bring up
right,
all the therapists in your area. As you said, sometimes a lot of people, when I asked during my intake, I asked everyone, how did you hear about Thrive? Because we
right,
track our referral sources, and
right,
I just had it today. Someone said today, I heard about you on Facebook.
right,
I asked, I put it out there on Facebook. Hey, I'm looking for a black male therapist, and your name kept coming up. So sometimes just putting it out there on social media
right,
for those that may not want others to know that you're seeking that. But Psychology Today, or you can send me a message. I will help you to find someone, and that's not me wanting you to come see me, because I tell everybody as a therapist, I'm not a good fit for everyone, and
right,
everyone's not a good fit for me. That
right,
doesn't mean that something is wrong with either one of us.
right,
Sometimes it just doesn't work that way. And so you have to make sure that you are with the right therapist. You have to make sure that you're with a therapist that it's a good fit for you. And
right,
so if it's not a good fit, and if a client expresses that, I'm going to refer them out. It doesn't take anything away from me,
right,
because I want that person to get the help that they need. Right?
right.
So Caleb, where can people connect with you and learn more about the work that you're doing?
You guys can reach me right now on Facebook. My name on Facebook is King C Gleason, street coach. You can contact me, send me a friend request, or follow me. You also can reach me on TikTok as well. I try to put out positive videos, and it's also King Gleason as well on there. So yeah, either one of those places, and you inbox me. I'm never too busy. Where if I see the message, I can get back with you, and I can let you find out more about what I do. For some of you that didn't know, like I said, I work with gunshot victims. So of course, to be in a part of their program, you would have to have been um, shot. So hopefully none of y'all had to go through that. But I also can still connect you to different resources. I know a lot of different resources in the community that might can help you.
Right. Yeah, and so I just want to encourage our viewers on tonight. These are conversations we need to have. Let's continue to have these conversations. You can follow Thrive Talks on Facebook. You can reach out to me, but we definitely need to have those conversations again with the I Thrive initiative. We're getting ready to take that into communities where we're going to start having these community forums. And Caleb, I would
Count
love
me in. You better
to
count
have
me in.
you to collaborate and be a part of that process. With that, and that's something that we can talk about. But we currently have some cities already identified that we're taking Thrive Talks to, and we're going to Newport, Arkansas. So that's my hometown, and so
Okay.
that I want to start it there. But we're going to Newport, we're going to Jonesboro, we're going to El Dorado, Arkansas,
Yes, yes.
we're going to Fayetteville, Arkansas. So we're taking this uh, I Thrive around the state. Um, right. Caleb, any final thoughts for
Yes.
tonight?
I do want to say this for those of you who are watching, for everyone, but especially my black brothers out there. Just as if you and go get checked up to make sure your heart good, your physical health good. Make sure that your mental is good, and that's all mental health is about. Go get that checked out, man, and you will be surprised how your life could change. Because it's a lot go on with us that we don't even know go on with us because we so caught up in life and so many different things, and we think that we okay, but we have hurt a lot of other people, and we don't even realize we're doing it because we just think it's us. But it all starts with getting your mental, because once you got this right, everything else gonna line up. I promise you. But you got to get your mental right first. So seek help, man, and become a better person for you, your children, for your family, for your friends, for your community. That's all I have to say,
Yeah,
brother.
yeah. So just as I go to see my cardiologist, or I go to see my diabetic doctor,
Right, right.
whatever specialist I go to see, you're saying that it's important that we also talk to
Yes.
someone about our mental
I
health.
mean, yes, sir.
Yeah, that it's very important that we're doing that. Um, and for those that are sitting there and listening, and as we were having this conversation, different thoughts, feelings, emotions,
You're welcome.
came up. I just want to encourage you to to seek professional help. If needed, seek that professional help and know that it is okay. And I would also like to say in closing that, you don't have to be in a crisis to seek therapy. A lot
Right,
of people will feel like I have to be in a crisis, or something just has to be terribly wrong. But you do not have to be in a crisis to seek therapy.
you're right,
Uh, some people seek it for preventive or just being proactive. Sometimes we just need someone else to talk to, someone that is non-judgmental, non-biased,
right.
and that is also maintaining our confidentiality. Uh, and so, it's important that we do that. As a therapist, Caleb, you hear me say this a lot in the groups. As a therapist, I have a therapist, and
Right.
so just for proactive measures, and so that's important. I think every therapist needs every therapist. Every preacher needs a preacher, right?
Right.
Every doctor needs a doctor. Every
Right.
barber
Come on
needs a barber, and so you alluded to it earlier. No man is an island to
right.
himself. We
Right.
need somebody. We can't make this journey by ourselves. Uh,
Yes, sir.
so thank you all for tuning in. Are there any
Wow.
questions or any comments before we close out? Caleb, man, I really appreciate you agreeing to do this.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
appreciate
Hey,
your
anything to help my
expertise.
people, anything that's gonna bring awareness
Yeah,
to help. I want to help. Anything that can, help people. That's what life about to me. Helping, 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 helping. Like, hey, I to see people tune in, that know that they hear it is enough for me, because I know that seed is planted, and like I said, I hope that it changes people outlook on what mental health is, to go get the help that they
right.
need.
Okay. All right. Well, Caleb, thank you again for joining us, man. It's been an honor. Everyone, y'all have a good rest of the night, and we'll see you for
Thank
the
you,
next
Christian, for your
episode
comment.
of Thrive Talk.
All right, you be blessed, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right.
All right,
God bless.
God bless.